Howdy, guys, and welcome to night 53 of Big Brother Season 24's overnight feeds recaps. And welcome to Cliff Notes as well. Hope y'all are having a fantastic weekend. All right, yesterday we had the veto competition. It took a while. They didn't start until the late afternoon, really early evening. But we did have that. We had the veto draw earlier. Now, remember, this is a huge veto competition. All but two people are competing. Michael really, really wanted this competition. Well, at least to get the chance to play in the competition. It turns out they had the veto draw. Everyone is playing in a veto competition except Terrence and Kyle. Yeah, Michael made it in. We find out a little bit later that Brittany actually was the last person to draw a chip. Kyle and Terrence and Michael were still left to be drawn. Michael had a 1 in 3 chance to get picked, and Brittany, of all people, picked them. So they got their wish. They get to compete in the veto competition. Now you have to win it. So we'll talk about the veto in just a second. Before we do, a quick conversation or two that took place before the veto comps kicked off. Everyone's basically just waiting around. It's kind of quiet in the house. Everyone's just trying to get themselves pumped up and get the resolve going for the competition and all of that. But we did have Brittany still making the rounds, talking to some people, doing some last minute campaigns. Remember, Brittany and Taylor are on the block this week. So Brittany's still feeling a little pressured, a little stressed out. So she's talking to some people. One conversation in particular worth talking about before we talk about the veto and the live feeds. Brittany talking to Alyssa, really trying to throw Kyle under the bus in her conversation. She's telling Alyssa that the leftovers formed because of information that Alyssa had given Kyle, that Kyle then told everyone else. I think Alyssa at one point says, well, I never told him that information. Well, yeah, we know it. But anyway, so Brittany's saying, yeah, Kyle took all your information, just gave it all to us to form the leftovers. She's also saying that that the week that Kyle had the veto, that he had talked about, he was considering just going ahead and getting it over with. In other words, going ahead and using the veto, sending Alyssa out the door. That Kyle was that close to using it. Brittany is telling Alyssa this. And the big news, the big part of this conversation, and it could still have some impact going forward. Brittany is saying that she is struggling if she should tell Alyssa something about Kyle that crosses the line and that will affect him outside. And she doesn't say what it is, but we know she's talking about the time that Kyle speculated to the HOH holder of at the time, Michael, about whether a Cookout 2.0 had formed amongst the remaining people of color in the house. And so Kyle had mentioned that to Michael. So now Brittany is wanting to pass that information on to Alyssa. Now, Brittany and Michael had discussed the optics of that conversation and have discussed whether they should tell Monty and Taylor and Joseph about it this week as a way to create division in the new after party alliance. So it's been talked about, but Michael had told Brittany to hold off on revealing that information until they knew how the veto competition was going to go, or how the veto competition had went. Brittany apparently going a little rogue about it. She just wants to tell Alyssa. So she mentions this to Alyssa, says, I'm really struggling with whether to tell you or not. And the feed's cut. So at the time, we don't know whether she actually told or not. Based on later conversations, it sounds like she probably did not, but she was that close to telling Alyssa. And there's still talk about telling Alyssa and other people as well. But again, the feed's cut, so we don't really know at this point in time just what was said after that point. But the key point, Brittany doing everything she can to create a division between Kyle and Alyssa because she sees that the numbers are on the other side. All right, and with that, the feeds cut again soon after for the veto competition. Feeds were down for about 3 hours or so. As late as it was, I was thinking this was going to be a nighttime competition. I was thinking back to my season when we had the haunting of Caitlin Herman, which was a kind of a running through a maze, gathering puzzle pieces to solve the puzzle and all of that. Apparently that wasn't the case because it turns out the competition was slip and slide. Yeah, the old classic slip and slide, iconic event. I had fun playing the guy. I didn't win. I didn't have a chance of winning, but I still had fun doing the competition. So they did the slip and slide competition, and the new veto winner is Michael. Michael wins again. Michael, the veto comp beast, has has taken advantage, done just what he wanted to do. He had to get picked for Veto. He did. He had to win Veto. He did. Now he controls. The important thing about this, first of all, Michael can't be backdoored because of it. He also now has the option of pulling either Brittany or Taylor off the block. So really kind of a worst case scenario for the after party alliance. And they'll be talking about a little bit later in the evening. Now, being a former cross country runner and hockey player, being as tall as Michael is with such a long stride, this really seems like a natural competition for Michael. So I'm not surprised that he won it. But God, this guy is just a comp beast, isn't he? Apparently, there was an option in this competition where you could either fill a large container or you could fill a small container. And once you did that, it gave you access to a bigger cup. So then you could fill a larger container faster. They normally do that. And sometimes a smaller container is just to win money. Sometimes it's to gain an advantage to fill a big container. There have been different options during the years. During my season, we didn't even have that option. We only had one large container. I wish it had it because I had all of my mathematical formulas in my head about deciding quickly whether I wanted to go with small container, big container. Doesn't matter because we didn't have the option. So, slip and slide competition. Sounds like Turner might have been the only one to try to go for the smaller cup first. There was some talk about once he got the smaller cup, he quickly caught up to the other people, but not quick enough to beat Monty or to beat Michael. Michael also, along with the win of Veto, which is the most important, but he's also getting a movie screening where he's going to get to pick 2, maybe 3. We don't know for certain, but he's going to get to pick some other house guests to watch the movie with him while everyone else has to sit downstairs and be very jealous and envious as well. We don't know what the movie screening is. I'm sure it'll be some promotion from CBS and such, but just getting a chance to do something different, watch that movie is going to be huge for a few people in this house. All right. So what happens with the veto? Well, surely Michael uses the veto on Brittany, right? Right? Yeah, you would think. He's absolutely going to use it, at which point Turner will then have to put someone else up from the after party alliance. But at that point, the alliance then should have the numbers to send Taylor home. That seems like the most obvious or likely scenario at this point in time. The only way that doesn't happen is if Michael and Brittany and Taylor figure out some way to blow up this new alliance, some way to create a wedge within the alliance, hence their desire to really throw Kyle under the bus, get Alyssa over to their side, hence their desire to talk about Kyle's comments from the past and maybe get him turned against other people in the alliance. That's their agenda going forward this week, which means we're going to have a whole lot of conversations, a whole lot of accusations taking place. This house is going to be tense for the next week. I just think there's going to be a lot. Michael and Brittany are basically, I guess the first shot fired across the bow was when Turner made his picks, but Brittany and Michael are going to come loaded up. They're going to be doing everything they can to break up this new alliance, which means revealing a lot of information. We'll see how it works out. It's going to be an interesting week. All right, with all that, let's talk about the live feeds because we did have some conversations that took place last night. All right, lots of people covered in lard, taking multiple showers. You can't. This stuff is so greasy, guys. You can't get off. It's like Crisco. It truly is that consistency of stuff, and it just doesn't come off. Lots of soap, lots of scrubbing to get it off. So a lot of action taking place in the shower. Cleaning action. All right, we've got Michael and Brittany talking. Obviously very happy. Brittany, the difference between on the block Brittany and Brittany knowing she's safe, Brittany, night and day. She's smiling, she's laughing, she's hugging. Brittany's very happy. Having said that, Michael has saved Brittany a lot of times. Brittany's enjoying the ride. We'll just put it like that. But Brittany, very happy. Michael is saying that he was worried about this competition because he's done comps with Monty. He knows how fast Monty is running and all that. So he really thought Monty maybe had the inside edge on this. Well, again, Michael had some background that made it seem like it's his competition. But with him talking about this, about how fearful he was of Monty being good at this competition, it does make me wonder. We know Monty was throwing some comps earlier in the season, but surely not now, right? Surely Monty doesn't feel so safe now that he's in this new alliance of 5 that he thought that he could not worry about Veto and let other people take care of business. I just don't see that. I think Michael's just a great athlete on this thing. But Michael is bringing that up. Brittany is telling Michael not to pick her for the movie, that really he needs to do some strategic picks at this point in time, try to make friends with the people they need to make friends with. Alyssa's got to be one of those, right? Yeah, we'll find out later that Alyssa's probably going to go see this movie. So she's saying, don't pick me. Gameplay at this point in time, which makes perfect sense. Brittany's talking again about the way the veto draw happened, that it was a 1 in 3 chance that she happened to pick Michael to win it. This whole week could be completely different if she had picked Michael or Kyle or Terrence instead to compete in that veto. A whole lot different, right? So they're very happy that happened the way it did. They are talking about trying to work on Alyssa to get her away from the alliance, as I mentioned before. Key action item for the week. Brittany is mentioning that she's already seeing Alyssa struggling with Kyle, that she thinks that she's got a lot of issues with Kyle, so they may be able to take advantage of that. She's again saying that she really wants to tell Alyssa about Kyle's Cookout 2.0 comments, and says if they need to make sure that Alyssa's aware of that if they want to try to bring her in and potentially work with Monty and Taylor on the road down the road. So she wants to talk about, she wants to bring up that whole situation. All right, we've got Alyssa and Kyle talking. Alyssa's hoping that she gets picked to see the movie, and Kyle's saying, you hate movies. I love movies. You hate them. Why would you want to go see that movie? And Alyssa says, yeah, but I like snacking during movies, and I'm sure they'll have snacks instead. So Alyssa really wants to get picked for this movie. She's not hiding it at all. She wants to get picked for the movie, and she probably will. All right, Brittany and Kyle talking to each other, but really not strategic talk, just kind of, chatting. We'll say it like that, just chatting. Kyle does mention, though, that he's really hoping that at the end of the season that Big Brother sends him a big box of stuff. That'd be so cool to have a Big Brother room in his house and all that. Well, here's the good news, Kyle. You're going to get a memento box that has your key, some costumes that you wore during the show, odds and ends, pictures, things like that. I got it. Every house guest gets it. It's really cool. I don't have a Big Brother room, but it is pretty cool to get that box. There's a lot of talk about what was involved in getting their introductions filmed and what they were and things like that. So again, non-strategic talk, just them trying to touch bases a little bit. Even though they're going after each other, but you still talk in the house. All right, we've got Turner and Michael talking. Michael is confirming that he's going to use the veto on Brittany. Now, at one point, he had told Brittany, said, look, I'll tell Taylor if she gets house guest choice and picks me, I'll tell her I'm going to pull her off the block if that happens, just because I need to make sure I get picked to play in this veto. Well, that's a moot point because she didn't get house guest choice. Brittany drew. So at this point in time, there's no chance Taylor's getting pulled off. And Michael's confirming this to Turner. Turner's acting cool about it. Certainly not letting on that Michael was a backdoor target. Turner's acting cool, saying, hey, look, Brittany was never my target anyway. It's always been Taylor. Taylor is my personal target to go after at this point. And he's saying that Taylor betrayed him. And apparently it's because she was considering putting Turner and Monty on the block when she was HOH. And Turner saying, 2 leftovers that she was going to put on the block. And I'm not sure if he said that. But, I guess he did. But anyway, he's saying Taylor betrayed me. And so that's always who I've been going after. And so if you pull Brittany off, I'm perfectly cool with that. He's just telling Michael that his replacement for Brittany is going to be either Terrence or Alyssa. That makes sense. Two of the non-leftovers kind of, don't make waves, anything else. So he's telling Michael it'll be Terrence or Alyssa. Michael is saying that he likes everyone in the house, but if Taylor goes home this week, he's okay with that. He's fine. So both these guys trying to kind of, calm each other down, I suppose, a little bit. Michael is saying that he likes it. That he's fine with Taylor going home this week. Turner is thinking that Brittany is mad at Taylor at this point in time. And Michael kind of says, yeah, a little bit. Remember, before the veto competition, Brittany really was throwing Taylor under the bus with this whole final 3, final 4 with Joseph and all that, and saying Taylor just said that. I never agreed to any of this. And so she has kind of thrown Taylor under the bus a little bit. I don't know if that's going to get back. As much as Michael and Brittany are talking about trying to create wedges on the other side, I don't know if there's an opportunity for the After Party Alliance to use that a little bit to maybe try to create a little bit of a division between Brittany and Taylor at the same time. Just don't know. We'll see. Michael's talking at this point about Taylor, about how sloppy her HOH was. There were a lot of red flags about it at the time, and so they're just kind of talking about that some. Turner is saying that he wants to talk to Brittany and Michael about going forward in the game. Does this mean that Turner's considering flipping on the after party alliance and going with these two? Maybe, but it also has a lot to do with the fact that Turner knows he can't compete in next week's HOH. He just saw Michael win yet another veto. He knows there's a good chance of Michael or Brittany, I guess, could win HOH the following week. So I think Turner is trying to keep all his bases covered by saying, hey, we need to talk. What can we do going forward? And sure enough, at this point, Turner also says, I really hope that you don't hold it against me what I did earlier this week if you happen to win HOH next week. So, yeah, Turner's feeling a little at risk knowing that he can't play HOH the following week. All right, we've got Monty and Turner talking. Monty's saying that Michael was going twice as fast as him. Again, it seems like you would have thought one of these two could have won this thing, but he said, yeah, Michael's just hightailing it back and forth down this thing. Turner's figuring that Michael is going to use the veto on Brittany, and that at that point they're just going to have to figure out what they're going to do. They're going to have to put someone up from their group, and they just need to get together and figure out who that's going to be. Monty's saying, yeah, I'm cool, whatever. He's very much acting not worried about the way the rest of this week goes. And he shouldn't. No one should be too worried. They should have the numbers. It should still be 3 votes from the after party alliance versus 2 of Michael and Brittany. So they should have the votes. But when you only have to have one person flip, you should always be a little bit worried, right? All right, we got Taylor and Monty in the kitchen. Not a lot of strategic talk here, but they are talking about Zingbot and the BB comics over the next 2 weeks. Taylor's figuring that the BB comics are going to have to involve Comic-Con, the big comic festival and sci-fi festival and all that. So she's figuring a BB Comic-Con of some sort, and I think she's probably right. Yeah, Zingbot and BB comics coming up. A pretty cool period of time for these house guests. They are talking about the veto competition, the slip and slide they just did. Apparently it was Pride Fest themed. I think Taylor's the one that says Pride Slide. I don't know if that was the official name of it or not, but apparently it had kind of a Pride Fest type theme to the veto they just did. All right, we have the entire house gathering in the bathroom to talk to the cameras, to give goodbye messages to their families, to their friends. They're shouting out movie recommendations. I kind of like seeing that. I think it's kind of a neat little thing to just get everyone together, talk to people outside the house, and just let people see the human, the emotional side of everyone for just a second. Step away from the game, do that, and then go back to backstabbing, betraying, and all that. So I like seeing that. All right, we've got Michael in bed talking to himself, talking to the cameras. This guy's a super fan. He is aware that with 5 vetoes, he has now tied the record for veto wins. He wants to win the next HOH so that he can then play in every remaining veto and win them all. That's the easy way to win, take it to the end, right? There's one more HOH that if someone else won it, they could potentially backdoor Michael, that there's going to be one person that doesn't play in this next veto competition. So that's why he's getting it. If he wins the next HOH, then he's guaranteed to play in all the rest of the veto competitions for the rest of the season. Man, we're getting so near the end. So he's talking about that. He also knows that not only has he tied the veto record, but he also knows that he's 2 away from the HOH record. And he wants to win that thing as well and be the record holder for all of that. His big hero is Janelle. He's certainly putting on a Janelle type performance with the amount of competitions he's winning. The issue is that Michael at this point in time, with so many competition wins, if he doesn't win a veto, if he is vulnerable, is he not the biggest target in this entire house? Regardless of alliances and everything, maybe Brittany doesn't put him up, but I could just about see anyone else putting Michael on the block. And if he's on the block, he's getting voted out. So got to be careful. As great as he's playing, he still has to be careful. He says that he wants to pull a Hail Mary, get Kyle on the block. Based on some conversations, that Hail Mary could consist of getting the house together and talking about these comments that Kyle had earlier in the season. We'll see if that happens or not. All right, we've got Michael and Alyssa talking. Nothing real strategic. But Alyssa came in to I think this was the Jetsons' bedroom. She came in saying she didn't know what to do. She's stressed. She's crying. She's saying that she's at peace with whatever happens. Michael saying, I'm kind of awkward when people are crying in front of me. I'm just not used to dealing with that. But the thing is, with this conversation, it seems like Alyssa's playing right into Michael and Brittany's plans to pull her in. If she's acting so stressed out and everything, I'm sure Michael's saying, here's our opportunity to grab hold of her. But the thing is this an act from Alyssa? Is she really this upset and stressed out? Maybe. It could be, but I'm sure that Michael sees this as a chance to grab hold of her and get her away from that alliance. Kyle's talking to Alyssa while she's in the shower, talking about how annoyed she is with him and does she want to talk? He's ready to talk or not talk or not. I had no clue at the time what it was. Later during a conversation with Turner, Alyssa talks a little bit more about it. Apparently, it all started with her poking Kyle with a coat hanger, and he said, "Stop it, get away from me, I'm annoyed with you," or something. And so she got upset that he didn't want to play around with her a little bit, and so now she's mad at him. Kyle knows that she's mad at him. Later, he said he was going to wait for her to talk to her. She got caught up in a conversation downstairs, so then he gets mad that she didn't come up and talk. Just silly stuff, but at least right now they're a little chapped at each other. I don't think it's going to last. All right, we've got Brittany and Alyssa in the storage room. Brittany's giving Alyssa the heads up that Michael wants to tell Alyssa everything tomorrow. And I think that that means the leftover lines. But Brittany's saying, please don't tell him that I already told you all about the leftovers, because he doesn't know that. So just act surprised if you would. I'll probably be in there with you. Just act surprised. But Michael's ready to tell you everything tomorrow. And Alyssa's like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, and then finally, last conversation. This is Alyssa and Turner in the HOH room. Alyssa rehashing her whole argument with Kyle, and again, it's just silly stuff. They'll work that out fine. She is talking about the fact that Brittany was giving her all kinds of information about Kyle, kind of throwing him under the bus. Feeds cut, so I'm not sure if she went into detail or not with that, but eventually the feeds do come back. Turner's explaining to Alyssa, saying, look, we've got the numbers. We've 3 versus 2. We should control what happens. Even with Michael winning the veto, we should still be good. But Alyssa's a little bit worried. She's aware that she could be a pawn, and she's worried about it and saying, I get it. I know you're saying we got the numbers, but if I'm up as a pawn, what if Monty suddenly flips over with Michael and Brittany, and now suddenly they vote me out and everything? And so she's nervous about it. And Turner's saying, look, you shouldn't be worried. We've got the votes, but here it's always worked smoothly. And he says, here's how it's going to work. We'll get all of this alliance in a room tomorrow. Someone's going to feel comfortable enough to be a pawn, and we'll make it happen. Some will be fine, but we'll make sure that everyone's on board with however it's going to work out. So he's trying to keep Alyssa calm and explain it. No big deal. It's always a big deal if you're on the block, whether you're a pawn or not. But I get what he's trying to say to her. Alyssa is also saying that, revealing that Brittany and Michael want to talk to her tomorrow, that they're going to spill the beans yet again about the leftovers. She's saying that she isn't at all happy that once more she has to hear someone reveal about the leftovers, give all these facts and everything else. And Turner's saying, yeah, I know, just sit there and act surprised. I've heard it. He said, I don't know how many times people revealed to me about post-pack, and I have to act surprised every time. He said, just go with it. It'll be fine. He tells her, he says, it's not going to be the last time you hear about it this week. You're going to continue to be going after you, talking about this kind of stuff. She mentions the fact how great she feels being in this group, that she had no one all game long, and Turner saying, yeah, but now you've got our group, so we're tied. We're going to be good. This is going to be fantastic. Turner is confirming to Alyssa that Michael had said that he's going to ask her to watch the movie. So she's feeling pretty happy about that. She mentions that Michael wants to compare notes about what Joseph said before he left, and Turner's helping her figure out what to say, and basically saying, yeah, just say he talked about that final 3, and don't even bother bringing up Michael. Just say final 3, Joseph, Taylor, and who am I missing? Joseph, Taylor, and Brittany. And just say it like that. And so he's helping her figure out kind of how to address the questions that are going to be coming her way. Alyssa is still a little upset that Kyle kept secrets from her for so long, had considered voting her out. Turner's coming back saying, yeah, I get it. But in his defense, he's saying, keep in mind that everyone was telling us from that side. Joseph was reporting back that everyone was reporting from your side that you were the savage, that you were saying you didn't care if Kyle went or not, that it didn't matter at all to you. He's saying, so we're hearing that and thinking the same thing about you. So he said, just keep that in mind. And here's the thing. It's in Turner's best interest to keep Alyssa and Kyle together. He doesn't want to see Alyssa get pulled over to Brittany and Michael. So he's going to do everything he can to play matchmaker this week and keep these two kids calm and together and happy and everything else. Turner the peacemaker, Turner the matchmaker. So he's saying, yeah, I get it, but we're hearing things about you too. So that keep that in mind as well, and from a context standpoint. Turner is warning her, and it's maybe the biggest part of the conversation. Turner's saying, look, they want to pull you away from this alliance. They're going to tell you anything they can tell you that they think is going to work. And he's saying they aren't doing it to be nice to you. They aren't doing it for emotional reasons. They're doing it for strategic reasons. They're telling you things for there's reasons why they're telling you these things, Alyssa, and it's to pull you over to that side. He said, so don't just take everything they said. He said, you're going to hear all kinds of things. Don't just take everything they said and immediately believe it and use that. That they want you. They're telling you this to pull you over to that side. So just be warned. So Turner giving her the heads up, and I think Alyssa is going to go into these conversations with Michael and Brittany, keeping that in mind, and I think that'll help keep her from getting too stressed out as she hears all kinds of stuff that's getting ready to be spilled. So there you have it, guys. House guest in bed by 3 o'clock or so, Big Brother time. They'll probably we'll see what happens. There's talk about are Michael and Brittany going to bring up this conversation with Kyle? They certainly are going to talk to Alyssa. Their side's going to war this week. It's going to be fun, and I'll be here to tell you all about it tomorrow morning. See what happens on a normally lazy, laid back Sunday. Maybe not so much this time. We shall see. Guys, y'all have a fantastic rest of the weekend. I'll be back tomorrow morning to give you the scoop. Until then, SKD 143. Cheers, my friends.